think I wasn't gonna get at you from the inside?
He has reached out to a witness, an alleged participant in multiple freak-offs.
Then why Oprah staying quiet? Why Ellen moving to another country?
And he's asking people to intimidate witnesses or pay people off.
Don't be shocked if nobody show up to testify.
Shocking leaked calls and voice memos from inside the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, have just surfaced. Allegedly, Diddy tried to bribe a prison warden to let him leave under the pretense of a medical condition. But why is Diddy still in contact with key witnesses? And what evidence is he so desperate to suppress before his trial?
Diddy's prison phone call just leaked and it was posted by Social Details. This is allegedly a call that he had, and there's a lot of talk, a lot of code words in there, so we're gonna listen to it together. Check it out.
Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over.
Now, this alleged leaked call from Diddy in prison was talking about getting rid of pizza boxes. Now, if you know your stuff and you're privy, you know exactly what pizza stands for, and that's probably what they're talking about and referring to on this alleged leaked call. Pizza, for those who don't know, I'm gonna make it very clean. It has to do with children and selling.
Make sure you recycle the plastic like you talked about.
Now, in this alleged phone call, he starts talking about someone named Jay. People are speculating that maybe Jay-Z, but there's no confirmation. At the same time, he talks about recycling plastic. I don't know what that could mean. If you guys have any idea, comment and let me know.
Everybody out there quiet as motherfucker. Yeah, exactly. We gonna let them have their good fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh.
I mean, it seems by the call that he's looking for help. He's saying that a lot of people are quiet, I guess people that are on his side, and that he's gonna have the last laugh at the end.
Man, just do what I told you to do, and don't forget about the list.
And then he goes on to say, don't forget about the list. And we don't know what that list is or what that implies, but this is pretty crazy. Do I think this is legitimate? There is no confirmation yet if this is legitimate or not, but this is the alleged leaked call of Diddy. Tell me what you guys think.
In one of the recordings, Diddy can be heard speaking in code, instructing someone to get rid of the evidence. This call was recorded inside the MDC and later presented by prosecutors during his bail hearing. Another leaked call reveals Diddy has a plan. He allegedly wants revenge on everyone who has distanced themselves from him. His message is clear. If he goes down, he's taking others with him.
You think I wasn't gonna get at you from the inside?
He has reached out to a witness, an alleged participant in multiple freak-offs.
Then why Oprah staying quiet? Why Ellen moving to another country?
And he's asking people to intimidate witnesses or pay people off.
Don't be shocked if nobody show up to testify.
Don't contact me anymore, pup. I already got that Houston lawyer breathing down my neck over that 13-year-old girl.
If you don't want things to get worse for you, then you need to start answering my son's phone call.
The defendant's goal is to blackmail victims and witnesses either into silence or providing testimony helpful to his defense.
New York is having a problem with leaks in this Diddy case, with alleged video of the court hearings already on the internet and leaked phone calls where he's calling witnesses. Things are getting out of control and you won't believe what he said on these calls. Recently, the DA released that Diddy was contacting witnesses from jail and they were saying this is the reason that he shouldn't get bail. He was using other inmates' phone calls to three-way people who would then call the witnesses, and that's who he spoke to over the phone. Also, in a weird turn of events, the DA who brought these charges against Diddy is suddenly resigning from his position during the biggest case of his career, and that is strange. So let's break down this insane phone call that we found online. Legal disclaimer, people, I'm just a guy that reacts to stuff I find on the internet. So as of right now, everything is rumors, gossip, or opinions of others. Everything in this video is just alleged.
High-powered attorney Tony Busby, who is helping take down Diddy, has collected evidence proving that Diddy used blackmail, bribery, and coercion to get his case with Jay-Z dismissed. The case was headed to trial when, suddenly, Diddy was mysteriously taken out of the MDC in the middle of the night for a medical checkup. Less than a week later, the victim withdrew her case. Coincidence? Or something more sinister?
the cover of darkness we keep hearing. Why does he get the cover of darkness? Why does he get taken out because he needs an aspirin? Help me, Dr. Hendricks.
Well, I'll tell you, each inmate gets a physical within 14 days of their arrival at any facility. And I'm sure, based on reports of him having several knee surgeries throughout the years after being a marathoner back in 2003. So this may have been in the works in terms of getting him out for an MRI, because I know that they don't have that equipment at the institution. And I'll just tell you this, they probably had set this appointment up months, maybe weeks ago, and they set it up for the evening.
To leave at 1 a.m. in the cover of darkness. Okay, you think that's what they set up, Hendricks? Look, I know you're being loyal to MDC, but can we get real? Leaving MDC because your knee hurts?
Prosecutors have obtained voice recordings and video evidence proving that Diddy and Jay-Z worked together to bribe witnesses, allegedly paying them to lie in court.
While maintaining he'd let the matter settle itself in court. But now in a new lawsuit, a Texas man is claiming Jay-Z's lawyers are bribing people to sue Busby and his law firm. This 13-page lawsuit was filed on January 3rd in Harris County, Texas, and the plaintiff in the filing is being represented by none other than Busby's law firm, who filed the suit on his behalf. Now, Jose Maldonado, who is the plaintiff in this suit, is suing Jay-Z's attorneys and his company Rock Nation, but not Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z himself. According to the lawsuit, the defendants in this suit are Marcy Bryan Croft, her law firm MJ Legal, Rock Nation, and the law firm who is representing Jay-Z, Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan. They allege the defendants conspired to obstruct justice by engaging in shadowy operatives to illegally get more than 24 current and former clients of Busby law firm to turn around and sue them. The suit claims Rock Nation is financing this alleged effort, while attorneys Marcy Croft and the law firm Quinn Emanuel are orchestrating this whole thing. According to the suit, the defendants' agents were pretending to work for the state of Texas and allegedly flashed fake badges.
Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team is in full panic mode. His lawyers have filed a motion to suppress all evidence collected during the raid on his mansion. This evidence includes everything the feds have on him, including bottles of baby oil and thousands of hours of freak-off footage. Diddy knows that without this evidence, he has a chance to walk free.
Looking to suppress evidence in his federal trial, senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky is back with the story. Good morning again, Aaron.
And to you, Michael. You'll remember federal agents from Homeland Security Investigations were hardly shy when they raided Sean Combs' opulent homes in Los Angeles and Miami, guns drawn. The jailed music mogul now argues those searches and other searches of his iCloud accounts, electronic devices, and New York City hotel room following his arrest were unconstitutional. His lawyers argue evidence obtained through those searches must be suppressed. Diddy's lawyers say the government presented a grossly distorted picture of reality when applying for the search warrants, omitting certain facts and including salacious details from an unnamed producer that were never credible. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. The defense is also arguing here his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, was a willing participant in drug-fueled sex performances called freak-offs, not coerced as prosecutors allege. This latest challenge to his case comes 3 months before trial, and as Combs loses one of his attorneys, Anthony Rico says under no circumstances can he continue to represent Combs. He offered no details about that decision, Robin.
Okay.
We already know that Diddy has been in contact with key witnesses, but what's even more suspicious is his connection to NYC Mayor Eric Adams. Just weeks before Diddy was arrested, Mayor Adams gave him a key to the city, despite knowing about the ongoing federal investigation. Now, Mayor Adams himself is under indictment for corruption. Could there be a deeper connection?
Big breaking news tonight. For the first time in the history of New York City, a sitting mayor has been indicted for crimes. ABC News reporting that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We do not know yet the exact charges. Federal authorities have been investigating Adams and members of his staff, issuing subpoenas for documents and cell phones. Several members of administration have resigned, some of them also friends of Mayor Adams. Again, Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We'll have the latest online and tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
If he was a part of that, how did he get the key to the city? That's crazy to me. If he was in incidents and everything around the city that wasn't favorable, I'd get key to the city. So now, yeah, now you gotta realize, if they had the mayor under investigation since 2014, Diddy was in investigation around 2011, 9 or 11, something like that. They say either 9 or 11. One of those people are responsible for the feds looking out after one, or either Diddy responsible, his interaction with the mayor, or the mayor interaction with Diddy may have caused the feds to be looking at both of them in some form or fashion. I don't know which one was first. Was it Diddy interaction with the mayor, or the mayor interaction with Diddy? Which one did the Fed have under surveillance first? And I think it was probably Diddy.
Diddy's third bail hearing made one thing clear: he's not getting out anytime soon. The recorded calls presented by prosecutors prove that Diddy has been contacting witnesses, even offering them money and career opportunities in exchange for dropping their cases. In some calls, Diddy's family members allegedly helped him threaten witnesses.
New details this morning in the sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. Prosecutors now claiming that from behind bars, Combs has been trying to reach out to victims and possible witnesses. And ABC's Phil Lipoff is here now with this story. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Gio. Diddy's lawyers trying for a third time to get him out on bail, but this time, the prosecution telling the judge about attempts they say the rap mogul made from behind bars to influence everyone from potential jury to alleged victims.
Who's the boss? Dudes is lost. Don't think cause I'm iced out, I'ma cool off.
This morning, prosecutors leveling new accusations against Sean Diddy Combs, saying he poses a serious risk of danger even from behind bars as he awaits trial. In a court filing late Friday, prosecutors detailing the steps they say Combs is taking while locked up to reach out to prospective witnesses and influence public opinion to affect potential jurors.
The accusations within the prosecution's motion to deny bail are very serious and will be considered very heavily by the judge, because the judge is going to want to ensure that he is not influencing witnesses and or contacting anyone to influence a trial in any way.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, and sex trafficking. He denies any wrongdoing. The government now asking a judge not to grant Combs' third request for bail, in which the music mogul offers a $50 million bail package, citing new evidence and changed circumstances.
Now, the situation has gotten even worse for him. 2 more witnesses have been added to Diddy's indictment, and 4 additional years have been tacked onto the original criminal complaint. While the new witnesses are unnamed in the lawsuit, legal experts believe it's obvious who at least one of them is.
Basically means that the previous charges have been updated and the government have added new details to the case. They've expanded either the charges against someone, which isn't what's happened here, or they have added new detail about the alleged crimes, which is what is happening in this particular case.
So what's new, what's different in this superseding indictment?
There are no new charges against Diddy. Like you said, he's still accused of sex trafficking, of racketeering and transportation for the purposes of prostitution. But what the prosecutors have done is expanded the case with more details. They've added 2 new female victims, and they've also said that the alleged crimes took place over a longer time frame than they'd initially said. It now runs from 2004 to 2024, whereas before it had just been a 16-year time span.
And you mentioned there about adding new victims. That's victim 2 and victim 3 referred to in this indictment, but we already had a victim. We had victim 1. They're still in it?
Yes, that's right. So victim 1 is the case that they built the federal prosecution on.
And they say about these 3 victims, Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power of the Combs global enterprise to intimidate, threaten and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force and coercion to cause victims, including but not limited to 3 female victims, 1, 2 and 3, to engage in commercial sex acts. In connection with the commercial sex acts, Combs provided the victims with, among other things, monetary payments, career opportunities and payments of rent and housing expenses.
According to attorneys familiar with the case, one of the key witnesses is likely Diddy's former executive assistant, Philip Pines. The details in the indictment match almost exactly with what Pines has publicly claimed about Diddy. Insiders say it's nearly impossible that the feds haven't already spoken to him.
A former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs speaking out in a new interview with new allegations about wild parties and news. Eva Pilgrim is here with the story. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Michael. At this point, we've all probably heard about these infamous parties. Diddy's assistant now giving us details about what he says were called Wild King Nights.
It's official. I survived what I've been through.
This morning, new details allegedly inside Diddy's world before his shocking arrest. The entertainment mogul now behind bars for federal sex and racketeering charges.
It was a circus. He did whatever he wanted, and we were just at his disposal.
Phil Pines was Diddy's senior executive assistant from 2019 to 2021. He says his then boss asked him to purchase supplies for parties dubbed Wild King Nights.
He usually had a laundry list of items that included lights, alcohol, those requests started to become more frequent.
Pines claims many of these parties involved younger women.
A lot of times you would have him with a younger female. There's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand the consent.
Yes. One of the things is, the thing that stuck out to me, you mentioned it before, these allegations are so consistent with what the allegations are that are laid out by prosecutors when they describe the freak-offs in their indictment, right? These sex-fueled parties, these fueled parties, the baby oil, the Astroglide, and it makes me wonder, A, do you think Mr. Pines is a cooperating witness for the government? B, if so, do you think he was one of the people that they originally spoke to when they were coming up with this, when they were drafting the indictment and coming up with the charges? Or do you think he's come out after? Because again, I think the timing of the lawsuit's important too, at the end of the year, right now. Talk to me about what you think his role might be.
If I had to guess, I would figure that the feds already talked to him, just because I know from my experience dealing with them how all-encompassing their investigations are. And if he really was his executive assistant from the time frame that they allege in the lawsuit, I can't see a scenario where they wouldn't. They investigate regular cases to the point that that I'm shocked when I see it as a criminal defense attorney with regular people. When you're talking about a high-profile celebrity case like this, I can't fathom that no one spoke to this individual prior to this. So I would think that they did speak to him, and I can't imagine that he's not a witness, because the way that they work is they want everybody that can corroborate their theory of the case to be on their witnesses or to be somebody that they could call.
Now, even Diddy's own legal team is abandoning him. Anthony Rico, one of New York's top defense attorneys, recently filed a motion to withdraw from the case. And months before that, Diddy's longtime law firm, his legal team for over 20 years, dropped him as a client.
Sean Diddy Combs' legal team is getting a little smaller. As the rap mogul's defense team prepares for his May trial on sex trafficking charges, his attorney Anthony Rico respectfully but regrettably requested to be dismissed from his role, according to documents obtained by NBC News. Rico, who is one of 6 attorneys on the case, requested in the February 21st filing to withdraw as representation because, quote, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs, consistent with the ABA standards for criminal justice. The motion continues, quote, while I'm aware that the local rule requires that an application for withdrawal of counsel is supported and granted only upon a showing by affidavit or otherwise of satisfactory reasons for withdrawal, there are sufficient reasons related to the protections afforded by the attorney-client privilege for brevity in my application for withdrawal as counsel in this case. Rico noted that there wouldn't be a lapse in representation since the rapper, who's been charged with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution, to which he's pleaded not guilty.
So the high-powered law firm of Grubman, Shire, Masalis, and Sachs has dropped Combs as a client. Now, this is the firm of Alan Grubman, who is a very prominent entertainment lawyer that represents some very big names. The Weeknd, Madonna, Chris Brown, Paul Simon, Usher, Bruce Springsteen. In fact, by the way, Alan Grubman was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He actually helped found that back in the 1980s. So it gives you an idea about how big of a powerhouse this firm is. Now let's go back to Sean Combs. So the rumor circulating is that this firm did this because singer and actress Lady Gaga had threatened to leave the firm unless they parted ways with Combs. This is according to reporting by News Nation. And it's a big deal because the rapper and producer had apparently been with Grubman's firm for over 20 years. He was friends with Alan Grubman by all accounts.
The charges against Diddy are serious, and because this is a federal case, no high-profile lawyer wants to be associated with him. Some of the best attorneys and law firms in the country have flat out refused to take him on as a client. The big question is, what kind of evidence do the feds have that's scaring off even the most powerful lawyers? Just a few weeks ago, Diddy's team tried to get one of the charges dropped, arguing that the case against him was racist. Imagine accusing the FBI of racism when they're coming after you for crimes with victims of all races.
Sean Combs asked the judge in his federal case to throw out one of the charges. He says he's being targeted because he's a black man and the charge is rooted in racism. I look at Combs' argument and his chances of success. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Sean Diddy Combs wants one of the counts in his federal superseding indictment thrown out. Combs argues he's basically being singled out by federal prosecutors because of his race and his success in business. The charge he wants the judge to toss is count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution.
Diddy's defense seems to be gearing up toward his alleged criminal conduct wasn't criminal. It was his personal business of what was going on in his bedrooms or hotels or wherever the freak-offs occurred. So they're saying that count 3 wasn't transportation to engage in prostitution, but was just him using escorts, male escorts at that, to bring in as a third with his girlfriends. Whereas the government's theory of the case is Diddy used force, fraud, and coercion to make his alleged victims have sex against their will in his freak-offs that he recorded for his own pleasure. Now, Diddy pleaded not guilty to all his charges, hence why the case is going to trial.
Diddy is doing everything he can to make his case look racially motivated. Just days after he played the race card, a race riot broke out inside the MDC, forcing the prison into lockdown. But let's be real, nobody believes this was just a coincidence. Diddy thinks the public is stupid, but it's clear he's trying to manipulate the narrative.
Where I bring in Gene Borello. He's a former mob enforcer who served time in the very same unit where Luigi is housed. And as of now, Luigi's not allowed to have visitors in that unit. Gene, good to have you back on the show. Thanks so much for doing this. What is a modified operation plan? What does that look like?
So if it's a lockdown, the whole building is locked down. It means it's a security risk, which means they will not let you out. Under any circumstances, you have to be escorted by a cop to go anywhere. Like I said, just for a lawyer, you'll only be able to be escorted to the lawyer, and that's it. Which means that if it is locked down, there will be no, in order to shower, you have to come out the cells one by one, and you get like 3 minutes each to even shower. So that means that like you just said, it's a race riot. So they can't let nobody out until they know for sure that people aren't gonna attack each other when the cells open up.
So, I mean, it sounds like it's miserable. If you can't have any freedom within an arrangement where you have no freedom.
This woman right here has been called his, I can't read the name. Sorry, I can't say certain keywords, but hopefully you understand why. I'm doing my best. Doing my best, chat. But Sean Diddy Combs once called his Combs Enterprise Chief of Staff, Christina Quran, his right hand. It's a Quram? It's Quram. Source close to the federal investigation believes she is more his manipulator in chief. If anybody is a gatekeeper, Christina would know everything, the source added. High-ranking supervisors were flagged in the 3-court federal indictment, charging Combs with all the things we've said. Combs has pleaded not guilty to the charge, but remains in custody. He's now offering a $500 million bail, which was rejected. We'll see if he gets this appeal today. Karam has not been arrested or charged with any case. So does that mean she's working with the feds? Because if his right-hand man is actually sharing the secrets, well, he's even more in trouble, right? That's the done deal.
Meanwhile, the infamous freak-off tapes that Diddy recorded over the years are set to be played in open court in front of the grand jury. that happens, everyone connected to Diddy will be exposed and their careers will be destroyed forever. Right now, the FBI is working to decrypt these files, and once they do, justice will finally be served.
They be shown these tapes?
100%.
Will they have to watch it in court? Like during the...
100%. In court, in front of a room of people. And so that's the other thing that's awful. They are going to be watching basically porn for hours on end in front of people. So in front of victim one, whoever it may be, there's going to be porno played in the federal courtroom.
And victim one would have been made aware of this?
Oh, 100%. She's probably being told right now, like, this is going to be played in open court. Your sex history, your sex life is going to be talked about in open court. All of this.
And presumably then she knows that and she's pushing forward because she hasn't withdrawn.
But don't forget this. It doesn't matter if she does or she doesn't. This isn't a civil case. This is the criminal case. So she could flat out tell the federal government, I don't want to participate. And they can say, we don't care. This is a crime. Crimes are against the United States, not against them. Keep calling her victim one, but don't forget, she's a witness to a crime. So it doesn't matter if she went to them in today and said, I'm not participating. Their response, we don't care. Get your ass on the stand.
Sean Diddy Combs sues NBC for $100 million over its Peacock documentary about him. According to docs obtained by E! News February 12th, the Bad Boy Records founder filed a lawsuit against NBC Universal seeking $100 million after Peacock, the streaming service owned by the media company, released the documentary Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy. In the filing, Combs, who is currently in jail on sex trafficking and racketeering charges, accuses NBC Universal of defamation and alleged that the company maliciously and recklessly broadcast the documentary, which included claims that the rapper committed crimes like serial murder and sexual assault of minors without having a shred of evidence. The filing reads, in making and broadcasting these falsehoods, among others, defendants seek only to capitalize on the public's appetite for scandal without any regard for the truth and at the expense of Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial. In particular, Combs alleges that the documentary, released on Peacock on January 14th.
But even behind bars, Diddy can't stop himself. Allegedly, he's been talking to female inmates through a peephole in his cell. Seems like not even prison can stop his behavior.
According to our sources, Diddy is not being housed in a solitary cell. And what's more surprising, the sources say he could still get his freak on, so to speak. There is apparently a secret system that inmates on the block all seem to know about, a way to spy on the female inmates who are housed one floor below them. I thought there's no way there could be some way to contact the ladies down below, but tell me how it worked.
It's a dormitory Puff Daddy's in. He's not in cells. So there's a big dorm with a bunch of bunks, and then there's a little room where you go into, and it's like a workout area. But it's not really a yard, you would say. It's just like with gates, like you see right there in the building. And you could literally lay down, and the females are right below you, and you could just yell at them, and they yell back, and basically like you could kind of see them, and they could see you a little bit, but you have to watch out for the guards, obviously. But you can talk with them and, show each other some things sometimes, which I never did any of that.
Diddy's empire is crumbling, and each new leak makes his situation worse. From bribing prison wardens to suppressing evidence, threatening witnesses, and plotting revenge, he's trying every trick in the book to escape justice. But with the feds tightening their grip and his own legal team abandoning him, it's clear that the walls are closing in. What do you think will be the final nail in Diddy's coffin? Will the freak-off tapes finally expose everything? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the latest updates, because this case is far from over.